There is one park in North America that through the years has faced controversy head-on with militant stubbornness that has long alienated former fans. But today Marineland in Niagara Falls, Canada has a different future. After the death of park founder John Holler in 2018, controversy surrounding the park has somewhat faded, and with that, his widow and current owner has hinted at a different direction in the future. The first evidence of this being Star Voyager, their new Zero Star shape to debut this season along with another Kids Drop Tower ride. What exactly this park has in store will not be covered in this video, but rather our own impressions of what may help it recover from a difficult decade and potentially elevate it towards a more respectable status amongst the general public and enthusiasts alike. There are over 1,000 acres of land for use in this park, which counts as one of the largest in North America, and its location next to Niagara Falls all but cements its potential for drawing crowds at a globally recognized tourist attraction. The expansion options are endless but naturally limited by the budget of this still small operation. One thing that cannot be ruled out is a takeover by SeaWorld Group, which, if in a better financial state, could have considered the option. John Holler was well known by August Busch III, former CEO of SeaWorld, and with whom he had a strong relationship. All that in mind, let's look at what could be done with the limited potential of this space. The first area of concern is Bear Country. In this area, the Huss Rides magical experience has been taken out of service, and years before that, a topple tower with many problems was also taken out of service, leaving us today with only the Lonely Beer Den and Dragon Mountain, along with Star Voyager now taking the place of the topple tower. The main concern with this area is a rather undirected theming approach, which Star Voyager further complicates. If a true theme park is desired here, then a new reimagination of these lands is required, and the best approach here may be a mountain village theme. With Dragon Mountain and the bears already in place, this will be an easy re-theme and provides a basis for what to put in place of magical experience. There are too many newer flat rides to choose from, but it is safe to say that given their history, Huss will not be the company asked to fill the hole. In fact, nearly every ride in the park's arsenal is from this manufacturer, and a good look into other offerings is long overdue. Marineland's last major attraction was Skyscreamer, still an excellent S&S space shot that sits isolated atop a massive man-made hill at the center of the park. The only way to get to this attraction is to climb the elevated path leading to it, which is not easy even for the best in shape, or to ride the infrequent Marineland Express train. The first thing that could help is to install either a funicular-style rail car, something that would be well suited to the history of the Niagara area, or a chairlift that would transfer patrons from the lower portion of the park directly adjacent to their new $6 million Arctic Splash Zone, which due to COVID has yet to realize its full potential. This would entice visitors that would otherwise give the climb a pass and travel up the hill to explore any attractions featured there. As for what features at that top, the well-constructed and frankly awe-inspiring buildings already there should be renovated anew. A restaurant should be opened as well to fully complement the area and make it a true draw, along with another flat ride that should be placed here, preferably a family ride that can entertain those not looking for a thrill experience but have made the journey. Currently, if you climb the hill looking for something other than the best thrill ride the park has to offer, you are left with nothing to do. Inclusion of a family ride would solve any disappointment in this area since Marineland is still very much a family park. The second edition, however, would not be so, as the park should take advantage of the unusual geography it has created here. What would truly turn heads and bring people from near and far would be to install a launch coaster here, one with medium speed which could throw riders into a giant drop off the south side of the hill, followed by whatever course is desired. With such a layout, a coaster could easily incorporate a drop of over 200 feet and would quickly become a must-do attraction in the area. With so many designers now featuring launch designs, an affordable option could be found, and the ride would not even need a great length as the main draw would be that launch off the hill. While not entirely the same, Helix at Liseberg in Sweden is a great example of a roller coaster built around a similar premise and still not found similarly in North America. Next to be reimagined would be the Flat Rides area. And other than the medieval buildings that already feature there, operates today like a window in the past of this park. Not much again needs to be changed here, and the park ought to exploit the great theming it already has, reimagining it as the Black Forest in Germany. All that needs to be added is perhaps a small village tower clock, ideally in front of Ocean Odyssey, along with a few other buildings and concessions to give it a village feel. Most of the older Huss rides in the area would be phased out over the years to be replaced by newer attractions, but the first major addition would be available immediately at a cut-rate price right down the road. Silver Comet at Fantasy Island has for the past 2 years been looking for a new home after the closure of the park it calls home at the end of 2019. Since there have been no buyers for this 20-year-old coaster or for the property it sits on, which would include the ride, there is no reason why Marineland couldn't purchase this coaster and relocate it next to the Flying Dragon, where to the east is vast amounts of open available land. This would also create a draw for Fantasy Island nostalgics, along with adding a wooden coaster to Marineland's arsenal to further cement it as a multi-attraction park. This is also a low-cost, no-brainer move that would immediately endear the park to enthusiasts and locals, and be a proper draw for thrill seekers while fitting the theming perfectly as well. Before moving to our next themed area, Dragon Mountain should be addressed. Despite its quirkiness and relatively low thrill level by today's standards, there are few among us that would welcome the closure of this coaster. Its length, however, does not allow for a refabrication of the track to be a realistic option. But if it were, it would be welcome without question, and such a modification could address the never realized waterfall section at the middle of the ride, possibly shortening it or adding more elements. The volcano structure should have its interior completed to some extent with theming, but other than getting its second train back into service, this ride does not need much, as it remains a draw and would still be if the park were busier. Given how legendary the ride is in coaster history, any preservation is welcome before, in a decade's time, a serious look at it should occur. The walking route of the park is another major issue which should be resolved. Currently, the Marineland Express is the only way of transportation between areas, but the service is infrequent. The park currently sits in 2 sections: the older main park, where King Waldorf Stadium, the aquarium, and children's areas sit, and the more adult-themed side on the opposite side of the old railway line. A tempting option would be to remove the Deer Park, but despite its controversy, still remains a popular attraction with children, and the infrastructure of the building is too well made to consider removing it. The best option is a shore-haul rail line that would connect the kids section of the park with the 2 new themed areas proposed here. If a second north entrance to the Deer Park could be realized, then guests could travel through this area on their way to the southern park area. This would depend on the Deer Park being opened up again to visitors, which could be realized once the controversies of the past fade. Because of the nature of the front section of the park being marine-focused, none of this area will be tackled here, as it is difficult to imagine any changes without a wholesale reimagining of what they do. The front entrance, no matter, should be rebuilt, since despite the strength of the ride buildings, the entrance is very dated and does not entice passers-by for a visit. Ideally, a more attractive, eye-catching, and modern front entrance area should be undertaken immediately. And if the budget were unlimited, a station for the proposed train would pass through this front area, much like a Magic Kingdom-style front entrance station does at the Disney parks. This would capture people's imagination far better than the underwhelming structures that we see there today. Before his death, John Haller was still pursuing new attractions for Marineland, and the massive area semi-developed to the south intended for a bird sanctuary remains evidence of that pursuit. Now it is a massive disused area that needs to be incorporated somehow. An approach which could lessen animal hardship at the basis of criticism of this place, while at the same time offering an attraction for visitors, is to create a safari experience through this area. The animals that are currently located in the north section of the park could be relocated here, providing them with more areas to graze, and then could create dedicated tour routes through. Vehicles such as buses, trucks like Animal Kingdom's Kilimanjaro Safari attraction, or even privately owned vehicles could travel through here, as there are many waypoints to the south of Marineland to provide vehicle access to this area. While this park can't put together a spectacle on the level of Kilimanjaro, much of what they need is already in place, and a move like this would continue to honor the original focus of Marineland while providing a less constrictive environment for their animal residents. Marineland always had rumors of exciting plans for its future despite the setback of COVID-19. While none of the ideas proposed here may come to pass, it is an exciting era for what has been a much troubled and maligned park for many reasons. Despite it all, there is more potential for Marineland than for most parks of this size, and the future can only lead to brighter times. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you like these videos, there are more to come, so please like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.